do men want?
Manifests itself in relationships, and you feel it in relationships, and they can be very powerful spiritually. And if that's what you need, that's what you should go for.
And she said, oh, I'm going to go do a sweat lodge this evening. And I begged her to take me along, and that was about 6 years ago.
Welcome to Speaking of Men. This is Public Access Television from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm your host, Mike Rivas. One of the most important issues in the men's movement is the absent parent, particularly the emotionally or physically absent father. Today, we're speaking with Billy Scott, William David Scott, as a result of an ad that our producer, Mike Krichowski, found in the newspaper in early October. This is the way the ad reads. Son of William Joseph Scott, Bill, would like to reopen ties with his father. Anyone who knows Bill, please have him call his son, Billy, there's a phone number, which will appear at the end of the program, between 8 and 4:30 p.m. Just a simple plea of a young man trying to reach his dad. So, welcome to the show, Billy.
Thanks.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 12 years old. I live in Clovis, New Mexico, and I go to Ranchville. I'm 6th grader, and
That's it, right? Yeah. Play a little ball out there from time to time.
Yeah.
This is kind of an interesting ad, and I know it's something that would interest our producer, and we appreciate you coming on the program today and spending some time with us. Tell us a little bit about how you first became interested in finding your dad again.
well, I first became interested in about 2 years ago, when I wrote him a letter, and it came back. And so I started looking for him, and we never got a hold of him. But when I was 6 years old, we got a hold of him, and I went to go live with him for about 2 months. So, and we got along real good. He bought me a new Alaskan Husky. We got him when he was a puppy, and he ran away. He ran away 2 times. First time he ran away, he was at 7-Eleven. And when I got home off the school bus, I told my dad, and we went up there and got Caesar. That's his name.
Right.
Second time he ran away, we never did find him. And then he got me another dog, a little Chow.
Right. Well, I got a Chow right now that was a stray that I found, as a matter of fact. He's a good pup. Do you feel it's important that young people stay in touch with both their parents or with the absent parent?
Yes, I do.
Right. Custody as an issue is one of the major things that comes up in divorce. And of course, as things change, more and more men are beginning to get in touch with fathers. I wanted to take an opportunity and just commend your mom on her efforts to support you in coming out and trying to find your dad, and to realize the importance of having of the youngster or the young person to have access to both parents in their lives. You obviously feel it's important to stay in touch, and of course we hope you never do give up hope of finding your dad, and hopefully William J. Scott, if you're out there, there will be a number you can call and a place you can write on the screen at the end of the program. Tell me, Bill, what do you miss most about not having your dad around?
Well, the games we played, and when we went out to the malls and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And the snowball fight's what I liked best. We only had one, but it was more fun than going to the malls.
Right. Tell us a little bit about your dad.
Well, he's approximately 6'1". He has the same color hair as I do, and same color as I do, blue.
Right. So
and he's about 31.
About 31 years old?
Yeah.
Right. You spend any time with any other adult males?
Yeah, my teacher, Mr. Toll. Me and him and all the other kids, we play basketball about 2 o'clock, about 15 minutes, and we all have fun. And then I got some other friends I spend time with.
Right. Well, that's great. I was wondering, so you guys play a little, what'd you say? You told me earlier you play soccer, football, a little basketball, and you guys get out and spend some time together. That's good stuff. Any other personal activities and things that you kind of do, hobbies?
Yeah, I collect a lot of cards. I got over 400 cards, and I like them a lot. I take care of them.
You bet. Well, I'll tell you what we've got, Bill. We have a commentary coming up from our producer, Mike Kruchowski. So what we'd like you to do is please stay with us because we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Mike Kruchowski, producer of Speaking of Men. I feel I have a lot in common with many of our viewers. I'm a divorced father, and I have been for some time. The story of my divorce is long and ugly. I don't think I want to go into it right now. There were no clear-cut saints, and there were certainly lots of losers in that story. I'd like to share with you, the fathers out there, divorced fathers, an insight that I've gained from 20 years of 20/20 hindsight. A lot of fathers break off their relationships with their children when the going gets rough after a divorce. They lose custody of their children, they pay child support, and sometimes feel that the levels that are set are unfair. And one reason that fathers break off their relationships is because of that money. Sometimes the fight for more time with your children makes us vulnerable to a reassessment of our child support levels. I'd like to tell you right here that looking back after 20 years of being divorced, that should be the last concern on your mind. When you look back at your child's childhood, the relationship that you had with them, that money won't mean a thing. In the end, only that relationship with your child, the childhood that you were able to share with your children is going to be important. So I'd like to make an appeal to all the fathers out there who are feeling like maybe they've been mistreated to keep that fight away from your children. If you feel that the laws need to change, get in touch with a support group and talk to some men who are willing to listen and give you advice. Get in touch with some of the local organizations like Dads Against Discrimination or national organizations like the National Congress for Men and Children. But don't make money the be-all and end-all of your relationship with your children. In the end, the money can be replaced, but that relationship with your child and your child's precious childhood is a perishable commodity. You'll never get it back.
Welcome back to Speaking of Men. This is Public Access Television from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm your host, Mike Rivas. I hope you enjoyed the commentary that our producer Mike Kruchowski did. I always enjoy the commentaries our producer Mike Kruchowski does. Informative stuff, and I hope you liked our PSAs and the messages we try to put out. To recap the program, we're speaking with Billy Scott from Clovis, New Mexico. And Billy is making an active search to try and find his father, William J. Scott, who may be in the Albuquerque area. We've been talking about the issue primarily of the absent parent or the absent, emotionally or physically absent father. So welcome back to the program, Bill.
Thank you.
Let's do some messaging and see if we can get some words out here. We talked a little bit about your sports and activities and some things you're doing at school. If there was one thing in particular that you could tell your dad, what would you tell him?
But please get a hold of me as soon as he can.
You bet.
Or the phone, well, there'll be an address and a phone number at the end of the show if he would get a hold of it as soon as he can.
You bet. You have some pictures, a couple of pictures you might want to hold up there
Yeah.
that you could...
Here he is when he was in Fort Hood. Yeah, Fort Hood, and he was in the Army. Here's another one of him when he was holding me as a little kid. Here's another picture of him when he was looking at me. Well, when he was in the Army.
Right.
And here's another one of them.
And he would be how old right now?
He would be about 31 or 32.
Right. William J. Scott. And you had... now, he tried to contact you in September. You want to tell me about that a little bit?
Yeah, he tried to contact me because he had to call my grandpa because he didn't know where we were. And but we weren't living where my grandpa said we were.
Right.
And so he told him that we were living somewhere else. And as soon as he told him, then he called my mom and told her and all that. And he's lived here in Albuquerque for 5 years. And he works at a sawmill. He gets raw wood from Arizona.
Right. So he may be working in a lumber yard here in this area.
Yeah.
You bet. What's the most important thing? Did I ask you this? What would be the most important thing you would want him to know again?
That I miss him very much and I love him. And if he is watching right now, to please get a hold of me.
Do you have any messages for other fathers who might not be maintaining contact with their children?
Yes, if you're not maintaining contact with your children, try to get a hold of them, and when you do, to tell them where you are, and write them letters and all that. That's the main part.
You bet. So you think you believe that it's important that a child have access to both parents, both?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me say a couple of things here since we're in the heart of the program. One of the most important aspects of the men's movement, quote unquote, as it is dealing with the wounds that we receive in life. And the loss of a father or the loss of a mother, the absence of a parent is a wound that we receive. It's an emotional wound and it's a pain that we carry, and that at some point we have to begin to look at creating a healing and a closure on. It took me, Billy's 12, and making an attempt to find his father who's trying to find him. It took me until I was 46 to begin to deal with those same issues. And I know a lot of men who it's taken into their 30s, 40s, 50s, and some never address the issue of having either a father, particularly, or a mother emotionally or physically absent. The attempt of the custodial parent to make sure that the child is in touch with the absent parent is real important. There's a nurturing that a child receives from both mother and father, and there is a bond that birth gives us with both parents that's real important to our psychic lives and to the well-being of our souls and to our emotion. These are some of the things that we have to face, and it's a large part. And I know myself and the crew here would like to commend Billy just on having the courage to come out and make an active attempt to carry on his father's attempt to reach him. It could work the other way, however. There could be a situation where You know, it was a mother out there who was lost and the father was in charge, or those kinds of things. America needs its families. That's what America is built on. And so many of our families are broken apart now. There's so much divorce. The roles that we play, the roles that stepfathers play, the roles that grandparents play, aunts and uncles play, in active empowerment and in the strengthening and in the supporting of our young people is real vital to the heart of America. Bill and I were talking earlier, and you know, and I know a lot of men like myself who spent a great deal of their life up here, and this is where life is happening in here. So, Billy, if you had anything to share with other young people who aren't able to see their dads, or their moms, what would you say?
Well, to try to get a hold of their parent that they're not with, and have the parent that they're with that help the child to find their father, and the quicker they find them, the more things they would probably get to do, and the faster you get to know them, and to send more posts and send cards and birthday presents and all that.
You bet. Let them know how you're doing in school.
Yeah, like record the report cards, and you don't have to buy the stuff. Well, the presents and nothing. You can make them your own.
You bet. You bet. So it's kind of the thought that counts, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's. Anything that you'd like to say about maybe talking with the parent that you're living with, and you know, like let's say if you were a child by yourself, I mean, did you talk to your mom, I guess, about missing your dad, and she supported you in trying to find him and that kind of thing? So would you encourage other youngsters to talk to their parent if they have a parent that's absent? And
Yes.
so you feel it's an important search.
Yes.
Okay. I'm thinking here that we've covered this a whole bunch. Is there one final thing that you would like to say to our audience about this effort that you're making, or to your dad about this effort?
Well, if you don't have a parent that you're not living with, or you haven't seen them in a while, to try to make contact with them.
We will have a number. I'd like to thank you a whole bunch for coming on the show, and we'll have a number at the end of the program. We're trying to find. Your father's name is the same as yours, except the middle initial's different. So
Yeah.
It's William J. Scott, who's about 31 years old.
Yes.
He has been employed in or around Albuquerque for probably around 5 years, and he works in the lumber industry. That would be working in, say, either a lumber yard or a lumber mill. The company's out of Arizona, so he may have moved over there. Did you say he might have been considering moving?
Yeah, he might move somewhere else, and if he's watching when the show comes on, well, today,
Right.
the call, the number that would be at the end of the show.
Or to write. Well, I'll tell you what, one of the new upcoming segments that we're going to try to have as a regular feature on Speaking of Men is a listing of resources. So what you might want to do is take a look at your pen and pad and get that together. And we're going to be looking at some resources here in the Albuquerque area and across New Mexico that you as a man or a woman might be able to utilize. So we hope that you will please stay with us, because we'll be right back. Welcome back to Speaking of Men. This is public access television from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm your host, Mike Rivas, and we hope you enjoyed our little resources calendar and board here. We're speaking with Billy Scott to recap the program. Billy's trying to find his dad, William J. Scott, who was trying to find him in September. And Billy, would you kind of like to talk about what you might plan to do in the future here?
Well, if he has a good job and I get to know him, I would like to go live with him.
This guy like to go stay with him for a while?
Yeah.
Right. Have you talked about that with your mom? And
Yes.
you bet. Any other plans for the future? Comments or?
Well, no, not really.
Let's take a moment here and get that address up one more time, and let's get the phone number that folks who might know William J. Scott could call. William Scott was employed by a sawmill here. Tried to reach his son Bill in September, and missed him. They placed a little ad in the paper trying to find him. So anybody knowing William J. Scott, have him call the number on the screen or to write the address that appears on the screen so that you can get in touch with Billy. Billy would like to see him. And why is it that you want to see him, Billy?
Well, I miss him and I haven't seen him in a while, so I would just like to see him.
Pretty simple message, I think. Any last comments?
No, not really.
Not really? Well, I'd like to, I'll tell you what, I'd really like to tell you that we admire your courage here on the program for coming down, and we hope you never quit trying to find your dad. I hope this little effort works out to ensure some success for you in the project. And we really enjoyed having you on the program here with us today. And if you find him, the two of you come back, and we'll do a show together or something. Sit down and talk about it. You know, life is the gift. What was it? Diagnosis is life, and the prognosis is live it. So appreciate you being here. And you guys watching, be sure and check that screen for the number and for the address to write. Should you know William J. Scott. And I wanted to take a moment as we begin to close the year and as we approach the holiday season and remind you guys that we are always looking for input from you. We would like some ideas on what kind of topics, what kind of speakers, what kind of guests, and what kind of format you would like the program to have, because it's your show. I know that you watch us because you come up and talk to me on the street. You approach our director, Mike Kruchowski, and occasionally you leave messages for us on the information line. And we appreciate that. This program is volunteer. We wouldn't be able to do it without our crew and without our staff here. This program is about men, it's about lifestyles, and it's about some new approaches to healthy living. We would also like to urge you to join us in upcoming programs. Jim Sims, a local therapist, will be with us on the 13th of December, and we'll be talking about, in the season of good cheer and jolliness, coping with those holiday blues and depressions that we get. On the 20th of December, we'll be creating tips for family holidays, and Jim Sims also will be creating joyous holidays and how to make those times with the family during the holidays that are normally stressful a little bit more enjoyable. And on the 27th of December, we'll have Edward W. Wood Jr. We'll be talking about new visions of manhood. Ed, you may remember in an earlier program, wounded in the Battle of Normandy, told us that, well, basically Ed wrote a book on being wounded, and it was just a great program, one of the best ones we've done, and I think that Ed's concept of new visions in manhood would be enjoyable to the two of you. Coming January, we will have a two-part series on this program in which we'll take brief looks back at our first year and a half of existence. We would like you to be sure and call Channel 27 if you want to leave information on orientation to become a volunteer or volunteer crew member, and you can reach us at 243-0027. I'd like to get Billy's mailing address and number to call up one more time before we close the program too far in the future. I would also like to tell you that I enjoy being the host, once again I would like to make a plea for input from you guys. Ideas on lifestyle, ideas on better approaches to relationships, anything. This is your show. We'd like to urge you to take advantage of it. So, Billy, we'd like to thank you for coming out from Clovis. I hope you survive the snowstorms going back, and I'm sure you will. And I'm your host, Mike Rivas. This is Speaking of Men. This is Public Access Television from Albuquerque, New Mexico, telling you to stand if you can, run if you have to, but don't quit.